Totems! The cycles just got announced, and it's very exciting. I could not be more excited to kick off Totems here. And we dropped a big announcement this morning over upland.me/events. You can check it out. And by big announcement, I mean big announcement. There's a lot of details in this announcement. You're going to want to make sure you go over, check it out, read through all of the details there. I will leave a link in the description of this video so that you can do that. I thought we'd do this video real quick just to go over the basics, just to go over the main points and give you a good foundation, and then you can go dive in deeper. So this isn't going to cover everything. It's just going to cover the main talking points. So first up, let's start at the beginning here with the snapshot. On January 8th, between 9 and 10 a.m., we are going to take a snapshot of all map asset holders. This snapshot is going to determine the Protem that is initially dropped to you. So it's only going to be dropped to players that are Totem map asset holders. If you have the pass and you've not exchanged it, guess what? You won't be included in that snapshot, and you won't receive your initial Protem allocation. So make sure you exchange that snapshot. Then the next day, we'll drop the Protem, and then the next day on January 9th, the cycles officially begin, and you can begin to feed your totems. Now, what happens if you miss the initial drop? Maybe you get totems after the fact. Maybe you didn't exchange your pass. Maybe we're a couple cycles in and you weren't able to get it. Well, we will have Protem sales. We will have sales of Protem in the store for totem owners during each cycle. Now, there will be a lot of Protem available there. We want to make sure that if you want to, you're able to purchase the Protem so you can experiment with your totems. And also, just if you miss the initial drop, you're able to participate. Fun fact here, if you're not a totem owner, you're not going to be able to buy Protem. If you are a totem owner, you're going to want to make sure you jump on that if you're not part of the initial drop, or if you just want more Protem to experiment. Again, this is going to exist every cycle. All right, let's talk about the activation and spending cycles here. Next part. Again, we're just going over the main talking points. We're not diving in deep. Make sure you go read the blog post to dive in deep. Activation deadline. So on January 9th, when your totems all become available to activate for the first time, there is a 5-day window to activate totems at the cycle start. If you activate on day 1, you then have 30 days it's a 30-day cycle for each totem. So if you activate on day 1, 30 days later, your cycle ends. If you activate on day 5, 30 days later, your cycle ends. If you miss the activation period, you cannot participate with your totem during that cycle. You miss out on the cycle. So you gotta activate it within that 5-day window every single cycle. We are planning to hold at least 5 cycles with the totems. There may be more, but at least 5 cycles with the totems for now. Now, there is an early activation reward here. Everybody that activates during this first initial activation in the first 24 hours will receive the Protem Pioneer Badge. That's something that you're not going to want to miss out on. It's just, it's a little prestige there for all the badge collectors out there. Again, first 24 hours, if you activate right away, you will receive that Protem Pioneer Badge. So don't miss out. You're going to want to make sure you do that. Okay, so earning cycle, we went over all this already. It's a 30-day cycle with rewards based on your Protem spending strategy. The purpose of totems is to get Protem from them. So how do you get Protem from them? You feed your totem. This is how you activate your totem, by the way. You just feed it. From the NFT screen, you go in, you feed it. And then based on how frequently and how much you fed your totem, and remember, each totem is unique. So how to optimize it is going to be different. Some are going to require more frequent feedings. Some are going to require more amount of feeding in order to optimize that return. This is all about trial and error. It's all about optimizing each of your individual unique totems to maximize the amount of Protem that you're getting back. Again, the way that you activate it is by feeding it through the NFT screen, and then that kicks off your Protem. Now, let's talk about frequency models. There are 7 models that dictate the optimal feeding frequency, varying from 0 to 50 hours. Now, there are hints whenever you go to feed your totem. There will be hints here that say, hey, I'm feeding it too much. Hey, try feeding it less. Hey, you're doing it too frequently, etc., etc. So make sure that you pay attention to that. There's a spending score there as well, that if it's in the green, you're doing it right. If it's in the red, you're not optimizing that. So the game here is to optimize your return on Protem. As far as output, this is something you're going to want to go over in detail. There are 11 different output curves representing all of the 11 life forms in Upland, and there's 6 archetypes for this. In other words, here's the earning pattern of my Protem. This is going to be trial and error. You're going to have to figure it out. Go read through this. So, for instance, a linear return is it slowly increases my return throughout the entire cycle. There are some that are step, so like it remains steady, 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 and then we jump up a step, and all of a sudden I'm getting more return as I go along. Go through, read these archetypes of your output, learn them. This will determine how your returns are coming back to you, what it looks like, and it'll just help you figure out how to optimize your returns there. There are collection caps on totems. So your totem is going to earn Protem. And if let's say you let it go for a few days and you end up not collecting your Protem from it, you're going to have to go in and actually collect. If you don't do that, then gaining Protem for you. So you've got to make sure you're in and collecting as frequently as possible. Right now, since we're in this trial phase, during this first cycle, that cap is turned off, but we can turn it on at any time, and we will turn it on for future cycles. So you want to make sure that you're collecting your Protem from your totems as often as possible. Next up, let's go through penalties for mismanagement. You're going to want to read through these variations here. There are missed spend penalties. So if you don't spend, or you spend the incorrect amount, then you're going to be penalized there. Make sure you go through all of these. Again, it's all trial and error. You're going to want to spend, pay attention to the hints, maximize your returns. That's the game of Totem. And finally, just a reminder here, totems are completely unique inside of Upland. You're going to want to make sure this is a game of experimentation. Every totem you own is going to be unique. It's going to require different spend amounts, different spend frequencies, and you're going to get rewarded with different returns for each of those. It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a fun time to experiment, to see what it takes to maximize your totems. I'm very much looking forward to it. The gamer in me is looking forward to this. So there you have it. Again, this is just the basics. If you have any more questions, you can write into support. Make sure, though, again, we just briefly overviewed this. Make sure you review this post in details. Just tried to give you the top of line information here to give you a nice baseline and foundation. Go do your research. I'm sure there's going to be members of the community making videos breaking this down in detail. Do all your research. Get ready. Totems coming next week. Snapshot. Get ready for it. January 8th. Here we go. Totems. It's really exciting. See you guys in Upland.